So by now we have computed uh, how to calculate the confusion matrix, look at the accuracy for it. We have seen that how to work with respect to your precision and recall, and now we gonna take one further step, and now we're gonna play with the columns. What I mean by that, so if you remember from my original data set, we do have uh, three independent columns and one dependent column. So one column is gene, second column is variation, third column is text, which is your research paper text, and the fourth column was your class, which was your dependent column. Now this class value was falling from 0 to 9. Now what we are going to do is we would like to understand that how impactful this gene is for the class. Means, is gene is really important independent column if we compare with if we have to predict the class variable. So that's what we gonna figure out first. So in order to do this, we will do some analysis, and also if it is relevant, in order to identify that as well, we need to bring this categorical variable into an appropriate format which my machine learning algorithm can really understand. So right now this is completely categorical, so my machine learning algorithm cannot take that value exactly as it is. So we need to do we need to apply some sort of techniques to get this done. Now in order to do that, let's start with some analysis here. Now the first thing is we would like to see that how the distribution of this data looks like for gene column, and we can see here that we do have like all these values, like BRCA1 is occurring 174 times, TP53 is occurring 102, and the unique genes are like 227. Now we want to maybe plot few things to get even more better understanding about this data. So what we are doing, we are plotting a cumulative distribution plot, and if you look at this plot, what this tells me is that if I look at the top 50 values, they are contributing to almost 75% of your data, right? So almost 75% are being covered by top 50 genes itself, and remaining values may be kind of less occurring. So this is one of the analysis which we can make out from this particular part. Now, as I was telling, that the first thing before we even think about building any machine learning model is that we need to convert it into an appropriate format so that my machine learning algorithm will be able to take it as an input. So as we already know from machine learning techniques, that there are two different techniques to do that. One is your one hot encoding, and second is your response encoding. I'm really surprised to hear this, that a lot of machine learning engineers are not even aware of response encoding properly, and it's a very powerful technique. In fact, we gonna see that in which all algorithm response encoding works best, and in which all algorithm one hot encoding works best. So there are various cases where maybe my response encoding will perform much better than one hot encoding. In fact, people who are already aware of one hot encoding, they might be aware that one hot encoding do creates a lot of columns for us. So since it do create a lot of various column for us, at some time creates a problem. Just to give you an example that how one hot encoding work. So let's say I have a column which belongs to, let's say, country. Okay, and in this country column we do have some data points, let's say US, India, maybe we do have something called as Sri Lanka, right? So we have, let's say, these three countries. Now the thing is, if I have some more columns, maybe they are numeric or non-numeric, doesn't matter. But if I have to feed this numeric data to my mathematical function of machine learning, it is not feasible. So how to deal with this? So one way could be that we can just say that, okay, this is US. I'm gonna give a numeric value 1 to it, give a numeric value 2 to it, and give the numeric value 3 to it. Now this solves the problem that, okay, we have converted our categorical to numeric, but this brings another problem for us. The another problem which will come here would be that if in this particular case we are giving some number, so now it is sounding like India is greater than US, or Sri Lanka is greater than India, because as soon as you give some number, it start working like an ordinal data. Now this is where again the problem starts. So how one hot encoder fix it? So what one hot encoder instead do is, so let's say it looks at unique values present in this column. Let's say there are three unique values. Maybe after that, India is going to repeat into this data and so on. So what it do is it's gonna remove this particular column. It says that let's remove this column, and instead of that, maybe add three unique columns here. One belongs to US, second belongs to India, third belongs to Sri Lanka. Now in the first row, since I have US, I will give 1 0 0. I have India in the second row, so I will give 0 1 0, means whichever entry is there, give the 1 to it, and remaining values give 0 to it. Similarly, I do have Sri Lanka. Now here I will give 0 0 1, and I do have India again, so I will give 0 1 0. This is how we can represent it. Then after that, we do also one more step as a machine learning engineer, usually, that if I do know the value of US and India, I can definitely tell the value of Sri Lanka. So maybe I don't need all the three columns, and we remove one columns from it depending on whatever we want. So that's something what we do as a one hot encoder. So this was a very quick review of this. But if you look at the problem of one hot encoder, we are facing one issue here, that if your unique values are too high, let's say my unique values are, let's say, 1000. Now in that case, are you going to end up with 1000 new columns? Means you are increasing the dimensionality of your data, and that too you will have so much of sparse data. This is a very big issue with respect to one hot encoder, and few algorithms have a big trouble with this, especially if you talk about like trees kind of thing, like random forest. So this is where maybe this will create problem if you have huge dimensionality data. Now in order to solve this, we do have something called as response encoding. We also call it sometimes as mean imputation. Just like how we used to deal with the NA values, we start dealing the categorical values also in the same way. Now this is an art. You need to learn it, that how to basically convert your values in a way that it should make some meaning out of it. Like in the previous example itself, where we have taken let's say three values of US, India and Sri Lanka. Maybe finally we are trying to output something called as height here. Now what we can do here is, maybe we might want to replace all the mean value, mean height of US here. So I will replace this US with some other value. Okay, so the more thing which can make sense here would be that instead of keeping the US value, maybe I would like to replace it with the average height of all the people present in country US. Maybe let's say it comes out to be 160. For India, let's replace it maybe the average height of all the Indian people, so 152. So I do need to have maybe sometime domain knowledge to do it, or it depends. So right, so we can basically take up this call and can replace with this. Now this is called as response encoding. Now in our problem statement, if I go back to our problem statement, where we do have to look at genes, and from those genes we are going to replace our data. So how we gonna do that, right? So that's basically is a question for us, that how we pull up the response encoding here. Because here we cannot replace with the height or weight or something like that. So what we can do, so let's imagine I do have a data of this sort. So let's say I have two columns, one is gene and second is, let's say, class. Now let's say I do have a value called as gene I. So let's say I do have all these gene I value here, and I have corresponding classes to it, let's say 2 2 2, and I do have, let's say, 3, and there are some more, let's say 3 3 3, and I do have this gene value even going up here. So now in this case, let's assume that this is all 100 values. Okay, let's say we have this 100 values. So it's saying that this gene is there, so it's belong to class 2. This gene is there, so it belongs to class 3, and so on. So now here basically, let's say these values are, let's say, 30. So let's say this values are 30, and let's say these three value, class 3 is, let's say, 70 out of it. Okay, so these are, let's say, 70. So how we basically can work on it? So in response encoding, instead of creating like depending on the unique values, we are creating various column. What we will do, we will say that for every row we will create 9 columns. Okay, So like this is one row, right? So this is one row. So for this row, I will create 9 columns. So now I will add, let's say, all these 9 rows. So this is, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 9. Now, what we're gonna do further to this? Now, if you look at this probability term here, what we are basically going to do is this is probability 3, right? So we can also call it as probability that y belongs to class 3 given my gene gi. Okay, this is what I can basically say about it. Now if you look at this is going to be what, 0.7, because this is, if you can recall from your Bayes theorem, what is this value? This value is saying that I want the probability that y is equal to 3 and probability of gene I divided by probability of gene I, right? So this is going to be 70 divided by 100, which is total number. So I'm going to get 0.7. Similarly, here also I will get 0.3, and in the remaining place I will put 0. So this is how we will be imputing the value instead of keeping the categorical. So now in the first row, I got, let's say, this value as 2. So in that case, we will be basically replacing accordingly to whatever my computation is going to come for it, right? So for every value, we're going to replace it with respect to my 9 columns here instead of keeping it 1. That's the whole intention of using this. So in this response encoding, definitely we're going to have only uh, basically, if you will look at it, we're going to have only 9 columns instead of having like multiple columns being available to us. So that's the advantage of basically using this response encoding instead of basically using anything else. So this is quite interesting, and I'm gonna give you more insight about it, and once we do it practically, it will start making even more sense to you, because we can go ahead and start exploring with this data, and you will notice that at few algorithms it works really well. So we will learn all of those techniques as well.